What if Europe's next major crisis isn't happening in Ukraine, but in a place many people stopped paying attention to years ago? Why are streets in Northern Ireland once again filling with riots, burning vehicles, and heavily armed police? Could the region that suffered through decades of conflict be sliding back toward instability? And why are experts warning that today's violence isn't just about crime, immigration, or politics, but about deeper tensions that have been building for years? Most importantly, is Northern Ireland becoming Europe's hidden crisis? The shocking scenes returning to the streets for many people outside the United Kingdom. Northern Ireland rarely makes headlines anymore. The world assumes the conflict ended long ago. Peace agreements were signed. Political institutions were created. Violence largely disappeared. The Troubles, the bloody conflict that killed more than 3,500 people over 3 decades, seemed like history. But in June 2026, disturbing scenes suddenly returned to the streets. Riots broke out in Belfast and other areas following a brutal knife attack that quickly spread across social media. Vehicles were burned. Buildings were attacked. Police officers came under assault. Ethnic minority communities reported being targeted. Several nights of disorder forced authorities to deploy major police resources to restore order. For many residents, the images felt alarmingly familiar, and for political leaders, the question became unavoidable. Was this an isolated outbreak of violence, or a warning sign of something bigger? What actually triggered the unrest? Every major crisis has a spark. In this case, the spark was a violent knife attack in Belfast. Graphic footage spread rapidly online. Public anger exploded. Rumors spread faster than facts. Within hours, protests began. Then came riots. Police reported attacks involving petrol bombs, stones, fireworks, and arson. Dozens of officers were injured while trying to control the unrest. Arrests quickly followed as authorities attempted to contain the violence. But here's the important point. Experts say the attack itself was not the real cause. It was merely the trigger. The deeper causes had been building for years. The immigration tension nobody wanted to talk about across Europe. Immigration has become one of the most controversial political issues of the 21st century. Northern Ireland has not been immune. Over the past 2 decades, immigration increased significantly. Workers arrived from Eastern Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. Many helped fill labor shortages. Others started businesses. Some became healthcare workers, teachers, and essential employees. But rapid demographic change also created anxiety in certain communities. Economic pressure, housing shortages, cost of living concerns, job competition fears, political frustration. These issues combined to create resentment in some areas. When the Belfast stabbing occurred, that frustration erupted. Authorities and human rights organizations later described much of the unrest as racially motivated violence, targeting immigrants and minority communities. Suddenly, what started as anger over a crime transformed into something much larger. A crisis over identity. A crisis over belonging. A crisis over the future of Northern Ireland itself. The ghost of the Troubles. To understand why this situation worries experts so much, you must understand Northern Ireland's history. For nearly 30 years, Northern Ireland experienced a conflict known as the Troubles. The conflict involved Republican and nationalist groups, loyalist and unionist groups, British security forces, and countless civilians caught in between. Bombings, shootings, riots, political assassinations. Thousands died. Tens of thousands were injured. Entire communities became divided by walls, barriers, and fear. The 1998 Good Friday Agreement dramatically reduced violence and became one of the most successful peace agreements in modern history. But peace doesn't automatically erase division. Many communities remain separated. Political disagreements remain intense. Historical wounds remain sensitive. That's why even relatively small outbreaks of violence create enormous concern. People remember how quickly situations escalated in the past, and nobody wants history repeating itself. Social media's dangerous role. One major difference between today's unrest and the violence of previous decades is technology. During the Troubles, rumors traveled slowly. Today, misinformation can spread globally in minutes. The video of the stabbing spread rapidly across social media platforms. Claims, counterclaims, conspiracy theories, and inflammatory posts followed. According to reports, authorities and lawmakers have raised concerns that online misinformation significantly amplified tensions and encouraged disorder. This creates a dangerous cycle. An incident occurs. Social media amplifies emotions. Fear spreads. Anger spreads. Protests begin. Violence follows. Then new videos of the violence generate even more outrage. The cycle feeds itself, and by the time facts emerge, the damage may already be done. Why investors are getting nervous? Most people see riots as a security problem. Investors see something else. Risk. Northern Ireland had recently been experiencing an unexpected economic boost. Thanks to post-Brexit trading arrangements, the region gained unique access to both British and European markets. Exports increased. Financial services expanded. Wages improved. Businesses started viewing Northern Ireland as a potentially attractive investment destination. But violence changes perceptions. Investors hate uncertainty. Companies avoid instability. International businesses prefer predictable environments. The recent unrest has raised concerns that Northern Ireland could damage its reputation just as economic opportunities were growing. In other words, this crisis isn't only political, it's economic. And the economic consequences could last long after the riots end. The communities caught in the middle. One of the saddest aspects of the unrest is the impact on ordinary families. Reports emerged of immigrant families fearing for their safety. Some sought refuge with police. Others temporarily left affected areas. Homes and vehicles were damaged. Schools faced disruption. Healthcare workers reported concerns about safety. At the same time, many local residents strongly rejected the violence. Thousands participated in anti-racism demonstrations. Community groups called for calm. Political leaders across multiple parties condemned the unrest. Large crowds gathered to send a message that violence did not represent Northern Ireland as a whole. This reveals an important reality. The crisis is not simply a battle between two sides. Most people want stability. Most people want peace. Most people want their communities to succeed. But small groups can still create major consequences. Europe's bigger problem, Northern Ireland, is not alone. Across Europe, similar tensions are emerging. France, Germany, Sweden, the Netherlands, Belgium, Italy, immigration debates have intensified almost everywhere. Political polarization is increasing. Trust in institutions is declining. Economic pressures remain significant. Many governments are struggling to balance security concerns, social integration, and economic needs. Northern Ireland's unrest reflects broader trends affecting much of Europe. That's why analysts are paying close attention. The violence may be local, but the forces driving it are international. Could things get worse? This is the question nobody can answer. The optimistic view is that authorities regain control. Community leaders reduce tensions. Political solutions emerge. The riots fade into history. But there is a darker possibility. Continued polarization, more online radicalization, more community distrust, more political division. If those trends continue, future incidents could trigger even larger outbreaks of violence. Experts often warn that societies rarely become unstable overnight. Instability usually develops gradually. Small crises expose deeper weaknesses. And if those weaknesses remain unresolved, bigger crises eventually follow. That's why many observers see the current unrest as a warning sign rather than an isolated event. The real question isn't whether Northern Ireland can survive these riots. It can. The region has survived far worse. The real question is whether leaders can address the deeper issues underneath: economic inequality, community division, political polarization, misinformation, social distrust. Because unless those issues are tackled, today's crisis may simply be a preview of tomorrow's problems. And that is what worries experts most. Not the violence we've already seen, but the violence that could emerge if underlying tensions continue growing. For years, Northern Ireland seemed like a success story, a place that moved beyond conflict, a place that chose peace over violence, a place that proved old enemies could coexist. But recent events show that peace is never permanent. It must be protected. The riots erupting across Northern Ireland are about far more than one incident. They reveal deeper tensions surrounding identity, immigration, economics, and trust. And unless those tensions are addressed, Europe's hidden crisis may continue getting worse. Because history has taught Northern Ireland one painful lesson: problems ignored today often become crises tomorrow. What do you think? Are these riots simply a temporary outbreak of anger? Or are they a warning sign of deeper problems facing Northern Ireland and Europe? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this investigation, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because on this channel, we uncover the hidden crises, geopolitical secrets, global conflicts, and untold stories shaping the future of our world. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.